Welcome back, y'all, to REXTECH, where we spread the good news of the cloud. Don't worry about this thing that I have on my face, but today, as the video says, we'll be talking about, dang, my first 1 month as a TAM at AWS. Oh my gosh. It has been a whirlwind of learning, of growth, and understanding what it means to be successful at AWS, what it means to be successful as a TAM. And I'm going to share with you some of the advice I've got, some things that I've learned that has been huge and impacted me just in 1 month, right? And so if you're interested in joining AWS or be a TAM at AWS, some of these tips can kind of help you going forward if you're interested in that. So let's check it out. Okay, first off, we have something called mechanisms. Listen. Mechanisms. What are that? What is that? So that is processes or tools that help you to be more efficient, more effective. So if you're an engineer, then you kind of already have some type of mechanism like automating something. But thinking about when you have customers, right? And having reoccurring check-ins, reoccurring meetings, and just figuring out, say you have steps in doing certain things and having mechanisms to make sure that that process is being done over and over and is being as efficient as possible. It's all about working smart and not hard, right? So it's about thinking, what can I build today to help me save time, be more efficient, and be more impactful tomorrow? All right, so that's mechanism. So on to the next. So the second is ruthlessly prioritizing your time, right? In this place, there is millions of things you can get yourself into. There is thousands of people that might be pulling you to come and do certain things, right? Over here, no one says no. It's so crazy. If you ask someone, hey, can I jump on that project? They're like, okay, come on. The more hands we can get, the better. It's not, nobody really says no to you, right? So you can't just be jumping to a million things. And then also you have stuff that has to do with your personal role. And regarding that, there's customer calls, there's many different trainings going on, just taking up your calendar. There's different meetings with your internal teams, with your personal teams, your sister teams, your manager, there's just so many things going on. It's easy for you to get drowned by all these meetings if you're not controlling your time, controlling your calendar. Blocking stuff out, blocking time so you can focus, blocking time so you can read, blocking time so you can continue your onboarding. I'm going through an onboarding process for 3 months, and there were so many things in my calendar on a daily basis that I have to really remove those things and make sure I put in time to complete the onboarding task that I have that is literally scheduled from day 1 all the way to the 90th day 1, right? Because at AWS is always day 1. So that's the onboarding process, and I have to ruthlessly prioritize my calendar and my schedule to make sure I can get the things I need to get done. All right, cool. The next is taking advice with a grain of salt. Okay, I've had coffee chats with maybe over 50 persons so far since joining AWS, internal Amazonians, right? Just getting a lot of advice, getting a lot of tips, some unsolicited, some I'm actually asking for it. And during my entire journey, I know, like whatever people say, you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Because everybody has different experiences. And in AWS, everybody has different teams, different organizations, different managers, different roles, right? So when you get that advice from someone, it's like a puzzle for me, right? I'm getting all this information, and what I'm doing is trying to build a picture that fits me, fits my personality, right? The way how I do certain things, right? Someone says something today, and maybe in the future, I don't use it now, but when it comes up, I can remember, oh, that person said this, I can apply it now. So I'm taking as much as I can, taking a lot of information on onboarding, taking a lot of information on what the TAM role is, taking a lot of information on succeeding as an Amazonian, looking in the future, like joining different internal initiatives, maybe find out how I could end up being at reInvent and presenting. Like I'm just looking at all that stuff, I'm taking it in. When the time comes for me to apply them, I would have had the information already, right? So meeting with all these people, I'm still understanding that, hey, I have to sift through the advice, take the ones that apply now, I can put the rest in my pocket. The ones that that I know might not really apply, I can still save them, right? Because I can't predict the future. Some of this advice that someone is telling me, it may not make sense now, and it may feel like it wouldn't apply to me, but later on it can. And only applying the ones that contextually at this very moment fit into what I'm trying to do, getting through onboarding, right? So cool. And the next one is data. Data is king. Data is king. No decision is made unless there is enough data to justify it, right? So now is a time whether I'm making recommendations to a customer or whether I'm trying to create another procedure or adjust a process, right? Those things, before we actually make a decision, it is driven by data. Data points, information, qualitative and quantitative, all that is data, right? Or it's time to showcase something that you've done over the past 6 months or 1 year. You have running data. You have information to show, hey, this is what I did on month this is what I did with my customer, this is what I did with the internal team, this is what I did with some training opportunity, this is how I helped AWS grow. Like having all that information is what justifies your job, I guess. So you have to have that data to be like, yo, this is what I've done. Okay, I haven't just been sitting my butt down and not doing anything. So I'm glad that, my other roles before, I've always been keeping a running resume, keeping a running, highlight of everything I've been doing. So that runs as part of nature for me, right? For me now, it's just finding the right place of where I can store it, where I can actually put this information to pull it up later. So now up to the next one. So the next one is networking. Now, I wouldn't have even got here if it wasn't because of 2 years of networking with Amazonians. But it's different when you get internal, right? There's certain things that you might need, you might want, you might need help with. There's only so much that you can know, okay? There's certain initiatives that you might want to do. You might have a customer problem, customer issue, and you don't know the answer, right? Having a good network internally that you can just ping someone or something and say, hey, my customer is having an issue on networking with, I know Transit Gateway. I know you're a networking person. Can you come in and speak with my customer about this information? And a problem like that, you trying to figure it out with yourself for maybe hours. If you know someone who's a specialist in that area, you can just message them. And if you've grown your network internally, then you have someone for every single service or every single area that you can ping and say, hey, I have this issue. Can you help me out? Can you give me some pointers, or where should I go? And then of course you can lean on your team, right? I can't do that by myself. I'm going to need to speak to someone who knows somewhere else who can give me advice or help me, or I can jump on some project to maybe speak or run or be a part of some session at AWS reInvent, right? That's something that I do want to be a part of. And obviously, the bigger your network at AWS, the more impact you can have, and the smoother and the easier you'll be able to find the right people or get to the right resource or tool to be able to accomplish what you're trying to do, reach your goal, right? Cool. All right, another one, which is Amazon's leadership principles, called bias for action. And this is one that I live with because, I always have a lot of goals, and some of them may be way out there, but I still try my best. I still do what I need to do. I don't ask how I'm going to do it, but I just go ahead and say, hey, we need to move by action, because only action is going to get me closer to that goal. If I sit here and relax and try to get all the evidence, all the information before I actually move, that goal will continue to be extended each day that I spend sitting and trying to figure out how am I going to figure out doing this, right? So there's something called two-way door and one-way doors, right? Most of the decisions that we make are two-way doors. Two-way doors is a decision that most likely you can reverse, okay? There's not adverse effects if you make the decision and then you can reverse it back, okay? So you don't need all the information to be able to make the decision. If you have about 70% of the information, move and move quickly, because the decision has, I guess, low stakes, low risk, because you can always go back, right? You can always revert. Now there are these one-way doors, right? Which basically symbolizes that these decisions, it's going to be hard for you to turn it back, right? Whether it's something that has to do with a customer, right? You're making a decision that's going to impact the customer that you cannot turn back, especially when it has to do with customer trust. It takes a long time to build trust, but in a snap of a second, you make a decision and that trust is completely gone, right? So those one-way doors, those one-way decisions that have high risk, those are the times you can kind of slow down to gather more information, to make a more educated decision that's not just going to, I guess, impact now, but also in the future, okay? So having bias for action is huge. Knowing when to decide, knowing when to move, knowing when to pause, knowing when to go backwards, knowing when to accelerate, slow down. So learning the nuances in that is something that I realized that, hey, this is gonna be something that you're gonna be having to do instantly as soon as you start in this role and forever as you're an Amazonian, right? It's part of the leadership principles. All right, so that's bias for action. So the next now is customer obsession. What you're thinking about every single day is, how do I help customers succeed? How do I help customers reach their outcomes? How do we help them reach their goals? Or what are the customers asking for? What are the things that they're thinking of that they don't even know what they need? Right? Those are the things that we think of. Being obsessed with, what does the customer need? It doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter what I think. If I'm proposing something new, we have to see what the customer wants, right? Just because I want it doesn't mean that the customers need it, right? Customers literally shape the roadmap of each of these services and the different innovations that we create. So I think that's huge, because you can justify almost everything you're doing as long as it maps to what the customer wants. You've done enough research, you have enough information, you have enough data to show that this is what the customers are asking for. Just give it to them. Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel or do anything crazy. The customers want this, and we give it to them. This is all about my personal experience and what I'm thinking. I'm not speaking for AWS, not speaking for Amazon, but this has been my experience within the last month, all right? Cool. On to the next. The last one is feedback. Feedback. Listen, feedback is ruthless here. I mean, it is straight to the point, no sugarcoating, but at the end of the day, everyone knows that the purpose of such feedback is to help you grow, to help you to be better. So earlier I was sitting in on a mock assessment and someone was doing some mock presentation, right? And listen, at the end of the presentation, the feedback the person got was boom, boom, boom. Like, it was so tough. I was like, yo, what the heck? This is intense. People are saying, someone said when they were talking, the only thing that was ringing in their head was why this, how many of this. I'm like, what the heck, these dudes are drilling this dude, man. But at the end of the feedback, they all started laughing like, hey, you did great, that was good, but fix this. And that's something I'm not used to, right? But the thing is, it makes so much sense. You want to give direct feedback to make sure the person knows exactly the areas they need to work on, they need to fix, they need to continue iterating and making better, right? Because ultimately, the feedback is to help them grow and be better. Why would you want to sugarcoat that? Right? This is someone that's going to be in front of customers. Why would you want to sugarcoat that anyway? Hit them with what matters, hit them with the areas they need to work on, be direct. And at the end of the day, we just sit down and laugh about it, right? And I'm kind of getting used to it right now, because I've done a couple mocks and they've been hitting me with some feedback, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Let me just take it. Don't take it personal. Just take it in and make it better, right? The next time I do another one, just make sure it's better. But yeah, that one really hit me. Like, when someone is really telling you, almost like coming to your soul, like coming to your competence, like you feel like, you feel like you're getting stabbed in the heart by feedback. But I think over time, it's going to help you be strong. It's going to develop a callus over what you can take, and you being able to be resilient to continue to grow. So this has been my journey. This has been my experience. 1 month at AWS as a TAM. Maybe in 3 months, you get another update. So I gave you a week, then I gave you a month. So the next one would be 3 months. Hopefully at the end of onboarding, when I pass onboarding, because I have to get through that, right? I'll give you an update then. But it's been real. There's so much I'm learning, and I'm excited. Tell you the truth, this is the toughest job I've ever had, but it's also the most fulfilling. And looking 2 years in advance, I'm just looking at how much I'm going to grow, how much I'm going to know, how much my network is going to grow, the people I'm going to meet, the amount of goals I'm going to accomplish, the amount of initiatives I'm going to be a part of. And I just can't wait for that. I can't wait to just be a part of solving the world's biggest problems and creating solutions to solve stuff for customers who are doing some groundbreaking, crazy stuff, right? So that's it. See y'all next time. This is REXTECH signing out. Make sure to keep spreading the good news of the cloud. Later.